We've seen careers extended with automation as well. We had a gentleman that eyesight was starting to go, couldn't see while welding even with the best cheater lenses he could find, but could put on some bigger glasses and get in and program the robot. So he'd lost his job as a welder.
Wow, that's a great story.
But could use the robot and go, hey, I'm a welder again.
Yeah, and then you still have him in the organization to coach and mentor. I mean, there's such incredible value of having those guys. We're thinking about deploying technology to bring the younger talent in, but here you are using it to keep folks around.
Welcome to Making Sparks, the podcast where we ignite your passion for metal fabrication and fuel your business success. Join industry leaders and dive deep into the world of metalworking. From business insights to tips of the trade, Making Sparks is your forge of knowledge. During each episode, discover success stories, innovative solutions, and expert interviews that light the path to business growth. Subscribe today and grow and improve your company, and let's make sparks fly together.
Welcome to Making Sparks. This is not your host, Casey Velker. It's Matthew Nix going solo here today. We're live at FABTECH. Before I forget, I want to say thank you to Multipress for letting us use their awesome booth setup here today. And we've got our first guest of FABTECH 2025, Graham Williams with Vectis Automation.
Yes,
Glad
sir.
to have you here today.
Thanks for having me.
You're the fortunate or unfortunate one, whichever you want to look at it. You're the first one, so at least we're not wore out from this today.
No,
but
still
also
have our
we're not warmed up yet either. So thanks for being here with us. And tell us a little bit about who you are and a little background, and then I've got a great list of questions here today. I think the audience is going to like.
Perfect. Yeah. So my name's Graham Williams. I'm with Vectis Automation. I've been in the robotic welding industry for about 10 years now. Started off...
Lots changed in 10 years.
Yes, it's really evolved. When I first started as an application engineer at one of the traditional automation manufacturers and integrators, we would look at a lot of customer 3D models on some bigger complex cells, and that's kind of how I started into this, and did that while I was a mechanical engineering student. And then upon graduation, went to one of the welding manufacturers and went through weld school. So a little bit backwards. I feel like a lot of folks will do weld school or engineering, but did engineering then weld school.
Yeah, good for you for getting the hard skills along with
so
the technical background.
No, it was good good background to be able to have conversations with different folks at different fabricators.
Sure.
Did the traditional automation, general welding industry, and then joined a company, Vectis Automation, who's really pioneered cobot welding and cobot plasma cutting. They started off in Colorado, where I'm from, and was able to move back home and join that team in the early days, and really been able to see that grow. And we do collaborative robots to help some of the manufacturers left behind with traditional automation that just didn't quite have the volume or the employee headcount to justify skilled programmers. You know, the skilled labor shortage is pretty apparent for most folks. Yeah. Skilled welders people think about, but the skilled programmers is often less thought about.
Right.
So Vectis started and had simple interface to be able to connect with a broader range of manufacturers with a broader range of skill sets. You don't have to have a dedicated programming person that's kind of an engineer by background, which has really opened it up to a variety of different types of fabricators, of small shops to the large shops as well.
Hey guys, it's Nick from Making Chips, and I gotta tell you about our new show, Lights Out. When someone talks about being lights out, what comes to mind? For me, it's Michael Jordan, he's got the ball, the game's on the line, or it's Leo Messi taking that ball up to take a penalty in a penalty shootout. These guys are elite, and they're unstoppable, and you just know they're not gonna miss. But I also think about the technology, automation, process, and most importantly, the mindset of the manufacturing leaders with the best shops in the world. Every episode will equip and inspire you to run lights out so you can sleep soundly while your shop never stops. Because we all know, if you're not making chips, you're not making money. So check out the new Lights Out podcast by Making Chips. I will see you there.
Yeah, that's a big deal. A lot of think there's still a connotation with automation or robotics that people think they have to be, they have to have dedicated programmers or a high volume of parts for it to make sense, and that barrier is really coming down in the last few years.
Yeah, certainly. Yeah, if we can have a simple interface and we can decrease the time it takes to program, we can decrease the number of parts needed to justify that programming time and still see a business case.
Yeah. What's the fewest parts that you see people running where they're deploying the cobot or robot?
One.
Yeah.
We'll have one-off parts. Usually when we're doing that, it's going to be your longer welds on seal welds or your big, heavy multi-pass work. And then those people can justify quantity one of one. Sometimes the program from one part will serve as a template for the next one, but if the cobot and the big part are sitting different relative to one another, then there'll be some touch up there.
Some of the questions here are a little more broad than just robotics, which I really like. AI is a big hot topic right now. So tell us a little bit about maybe not only the way you guys might be looking at AI or already deploying it, but maybe also what are you seeing more broadly as industry trends and things that people should be paying attention to?
Yeah, I think a lot of different AI out there and different places where it's starting to make an entrance in different segments where maybe people didn't think it would. I think for us, our approach with Vectis on the AI is where does it make sense versus where does it complicate? We want to have that robustness. So we have AI path optimization that'll correct your weld angles. It can detect the type of joints that you're welding and be able to add additional points if you're going around a corner or doing a wrap node or something like that to help on the programming and just make it that much simpler to use and open it up to people that aren't necessarily welders by background. But it seems like AI in other areas is really growing too. On the demand side, it seems like AI needs a lot of server areas to generate that. So we've definitely seen infrastructure going to house all the AI processing.
Yeah, we're doing
power.
a lot of work right now that's ending up going to the data centers as a result of AI.
Yes, it seems like about the time the Bitcoin mining started to taper off, the AI started to increase for the data centers and storing all the AI processing power. I think we've seen some AI that may be cool on the technology side and sounds good, but then what's the application look like? And is that an area where we should use AI, or should we keep it simple and have some manual interface to that? Kind of a hybrid approach on where the AI and human intervention mix, and how is that going to change over the next few years?
Yeah, it seems like the opportunities to deploy AI in the office are probably more low-hanging fruit at the current moment than on the production floor, but I'm sure there's plenty of opportunities on the production floor as well.
Absolutely, yeah. I think some of the automated document storage and processing some really old work instructions, and there's some areas there that that's not where I've worked or where I see our company going, but do see tremendous opportunity in purging through old documentation, having work instructions.
Yeah, that's huge.
Searching for old part files, things like that, for sure.
Yeah, tribal knowledge from the shop floor. One of the things that we're looking at right now is when we finish a job, the project lead on the shop floor fills out, a project completion form, and there's always things like, what could have gone better with the job? Do you have any input for the designers? And it's a lot of more qualitative information as opposed to quantitative, and it's a lot of open-ended type questions. And in the past, there's a lot of gold nuggets in that information. But to be able to synthesize large amounts of that information, to have the engineers or anybody do anything with it was complicated, and that used to be one of the complaints that I would often hear from the guys on the floor is, well, I fill this out, I don't know if anybody ever reads it. Well, now, we could go back and take months or quarters or years of this information and say, mine this information and tell us, what are the trends that you see in here? What are the things we need to be looking at, right? And so,
absolutely.
To me, I think that's one of the biggest things right now is just this whole mindset shift of being able to synthesize massive amounts of qualitative information, as opposed everything we've done in business prior to that has all been focused around, quantitative information.
Yes.
And you don't need that like you used to.
Yeah, being able to get feedback to the people that can actually implement and make those changes, and really connecting the assembly floor or the shop floor to the engineering teams, some of the business forecasting side, and being able to optimize that. I think tremendous opportunities there to make vast improvements for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. What should shops be looking out for right now, or staying ahead of, in terms of, whether it's technology changes you see on the horizon, or maybe even economic shifts? I mean, what are you seeing out there? You're interacting with a lot of shops.
Absolutely, yeah. I think a lot of different things come to mind. I think, one thing is changing safety rules. I think there's certain areas that the technology maybe outpace some of the regulations, and as we see those ramp back in, making sure that folks are buying from somebody that's a trusted partner that's monitoring where those industry changes and regulations are coming in, being mindful of the safety, so that manufacturers don't get caught with, hey, I bought this thing, but now it's not compliant with these new rules, and I can't use it, or I have to add all this stuff after the fact. But having a trusted partner that it's their responsibility, and they're monitoring that, so that they're setting their customers, their manufacturers up for success in the future, I think is one thing to be mindful of, is change the regulations, specifically around safety. I think there's certain technologies that are emerging that may not marry well with other technologies that are emerging, but this one works well, this one works well. You put them together, and there may be some holes there on some of the integration, some of the safety surrounding that as well.
Okay.
I think skilled labor, that's something everyone, I think, has seen coming for a while, and is kind of goes in waves and floats through different industry segments. On certain areas, it seems like the welders are tough to find, and then other areas, maybe it's the fitters that are tough. So being able to have technology to make the labor that you do find more effective, and have levers on, hey, this is a job that makes sense to keep manual, or this is one that maybe we can use a piece of automation to boost the productivity, while then that person can go and focus on the manual work.
Hey guys, it's Nick from Making Chips. I want to give you 3 quick reasons why you should check out Mike Payne's podcast, By the Numbers. Mike, my good buddy, my partner on Making Chips, is full of wisdom. He's full of experience. He's full of what it takes to buy, sell, and lead a business, specifically a manufacturing business. So all the numbers that you should be focused on to improve your performance, that's what he's the master at. The second reason, Mike's the first person I call. If I'm looking at a new idea, a new partnership opportunity, a new acquisition, any new initiative where I need to dive into the numbers and figure out how to approach it, Mike is who I go to. And third, you gotta love that buttery Tulsa King voice that Mike rocks. It just soothes your soul. It gives you the confidence to elevate your leadership. Jokes aside, if you love making chips, or if you're just passionate about improving your business performance and the financial performance of your company, check out By the Numbers by Making Chips, hosted by my good buddy, Mike Payne.
No, you talked about automation to make the people more efficient and more effective, but don't you also see just having the newer technology attracts talent as well?
Yes.
It works that way. It's not only making them more productive, but it's attracting the talent in the first place. I think we've really found that to be true, that if you stay up with technology, you're more likely to attract the younger talent.
Absolutely, yeah. We have a customer of ours. They have serial number 411, and I believe 475 from us. But their cobot champion, the main guy that's owning that, he was really drawn to being able to use a robot as part of his day-to-day.
Yeah.
Loves welding, likes being under the hood, but not full-time, full week.
Yeah.
So being able to kind of pivot and think through the lens of how can I use robotics and implement that, drew him in, and he was able to recruit 2 of his high school buddies. And so the 3 of them are running this whole fab shop, doing the work of many more people, because of that technology, and it's really drawn them in. Another area we see it is we often work with schools and have some partners in the educational space, And sometimes the students need less convincing than the parents. But by seeing some of the new technology, then it's all of a sudden okay for their kid to be able to enter into the trades. Whereas maybe there's been some stigmas around that in the past that are starting to go away with the implementation of the technology.
Yeah, absolutely. I was walking the shop floor a few weeks ago, and we've got a young lady that we hired right out of high school. She's been with us a few years now. She's grown as she's our material processing head, our leader of material processing, which has been really cool. But anyways, we've got a robotic material processing piece of equipment, and we were like, I think, serial number 10 for that. So we're really proud of that. You know, have one of the first pieces of equipment out there. It's a robo rail is the piece of equipment that we have. But anyways, she was troubleshooting something in the machine, and I stopped to talk to her, and she was just like, she said, I feel like a mad scientist, you know, and I could just tell that she really took a tremendous amount of pride. Not only that she was running this piece of equipment, that she was troubleshooting a highly technologically advanced piece of equipment. And I kind of had to chuckle to myself because, like, I think most of the people in our organization that are twice her age would have had no freaking idea how to do what she's doing. But, you know, she just grew up with technology, and she's so much more tech savvy. And she was over here, you know, in the computer, messing around, doing troubleshooting. And so I just thought that she found that to be rewarding.
Yes.
And I found it to be very rewarding because I thought, wow, you know, this young talent is able to add value in a way that some of the older folks wouldn't have been able to.
Absolutely, yeah, and I think that the attitude is one of the key things. Is who's got the drive to be able to figure it out and do that troubleshooting and really wants to embrace the technology. We've seen high school summer interns come in and kick butt for their internship at some of the different manufacturers running systems. But then what's also been really fulfilling that I didn't necessarily anticipate is we've seen careers extended with automation as well. We had a gentleman that eyesight was starting to go, couldn't see while welding even with the best cheater lenses he could find, but could put on some bigger glasses and get in and program the robot. So he'd lost his job as a welder.
Wow, that's a great story.
But could use the robot and go, hey, I'm a welder again.
Yeah.
And so he's running two systems, kind of more on the downslope of the career.
Yeah, and then you still have him in the organization to coach and mentor. I mean, there's such incredible value of having those guys.
Yes, so much knowledge.
So much knowledge transfer. Yeah, that's something I would have never thought about. So we're thinking about deploying technology to bring the younger talent in, but here you are using it to keep folks around.
Yeah, it's the full spectrum. Has been really cool to see on people wanting to stay in the welding game, but maybe don't physically have it as much.
Yeah,
anymore.
you used the example of eyesight, but it could be literal physical capabilities, right? That, you know, maybe there's some kind of automation. Might not be robotic welding, but there might be automation in a business that could be done to keep an older guy or gal around that, you know, has a lot of institutional knowledge, but maybe physically can't do the demands of the job anymore.
Yeah, and that's often, you know, areas we like to look to start to get the buy-in of the team of the fabricators themselves is, hey, if we can have automation step in and do some of the jobs you hate the most, the ones that you go home and complain to the spouse about, if the robot can do that, then all of a sudden we've got buy-in and they're hunting for the next part that's like that makes their day-to-day improved and takes away some of those less ergonomic jobs, gets into some of the tighter spots that you have to reach out and over a part, for example, on the welding side. And then on the cutting side, being able to get further back from a hand torch that can be a little tough to keep the hands steady all day, making some of those tougher profile cuts and things. If we can have a robot do that, it can really reduce grinding after the fact, and that's tough on the body as well.
Yeah. One of the questions I had, you kind of touched on it, was how to get seasoned welders and operators comfortable working alongside automation. And you know, I mean, I think you kind of touched on that there, but anything else you would add to that?
Yeah, I would say, you know, lots of cobots here at FABTECH. But one thing that, you know, is unique with cobots is it doesn't have all the fencing and guarding. If that integrator's taken on the safety risk assessment and can provide that, they can run a cobot at a collaborative speed with a collaborative application. And I think the intimidation factor.
So I was getting ready to say, you brought the intimidation factor down a lot.
If I can stand right next to it, and if I hit the wrong buttons because I'm brand new, I'm not breaking a robot or bending torches, bending clamps, scrapping parts.
Yeah.
If it hits something, it's going to stop. And whether that's me and that's hits me and stops, and that's why we don't have the guarding around it, or kind of that user error early days of using automation. If they're hitting the wrong button sequence or something like that, load up the wrong program, you're not worried about damaging stuff, getting in trouble with management because you broke something.
Right.
So don't be intimidated. Get in there, try it. We've seen certain customers that, they'll want to reach out and get kind of permission to try certain part types that may be a little different than the part types they started with and entered into their automation journey with. And then we've seen others that go, hey, check it out, look what I just did. And those are always really cool. We always are happy with either side and can encourage folks to try it on different areas that maybe they haven't in the past. But then it's also been really fun to see, hey, look, this is what we did and it worked out. Versus some of the traditional automation, having to get a precision machine tool to support those experiments can add a lot of cost and time, versus cobots, just roll it up, give it a shot and see what happens.
Yeah, we actually had someone bring a cobot right into the shop floor and just trial it. Like, here's a job, bring it in, did a little training. There's no better way to learn and try it out and get buy-in from the team than just bring it in and let's see how it works.
Just give it a go, rent a system, and if it works, buy it out. If it doesn't, then hey, have it go back.
Yeah. Is that an emerging model in the world that you're in? Do you guys do that?
We do, yeah. We have a rental program where a percentage of the rent paid gets applied towards ownership. And that really has helped support folks that are new to automation and maybe left behind and can't, commit to multiple $100,000 piece of concrete anchored equipment. But if they can try something that's pretty portable, try it in different work areas, try it with different team members and see who really gravitates towards it, enjoys using it, then, also concurrently build a business case around what's the productivity gains we're seeing. 3 to 4x increase tends to be pretty average from manual MIG to cobot MIG, but they can really get the hard data with a rental. Of course, can always do a traditional buy, but having it be able to be in a shop in a variety of areas for a couple month duration has really helped open it up for folks that have been hesitant to dip their toe in the automation.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like kind of the way of the world, the way of the future now when it comes to that. So
absolutely.
Yeah. So last question here. We talked a lot about automation. We talked about AI. Would you say, I think I know the answer to this, and then if so, why? Do human skills still matter more than the technology and automation?
Yeah, absolutely.
And why would you?
Yeah, so, I think it's a great question. I think people will always need to be in the loop. I think there's a lot of times people on the business owner side want to go, hey, look, lights out, 100% automated. That may be attainable in a couple of years, but it's going to require tremendous change. But what tools exist today that can be used to make people more effective? And maybe a hybrid approach is the best approach. Of maybe this automation can do 70-80% of the work, and then that remaining percentage is still done with a person. And the cost to automate that last bit may be exponentially higher.
Yeah.
So it's finding that balance.
It's diminishing return. That was going to be what I was going to point out. And I found it really interesting that in recent years, in the Tesla plant, Elon Musk actually went on a rampage. He's a highly technological guy,
Absolutely.
right? No one could ever say he's anti-technology, anti-automation. But he went on a rampage where they started ripping robots out. I can't remember how many robots they ripped out, and he said for that exact reason, they had automated things and just created unneeded complexity and at almost no value gain or even diminishing returns in some cases. So there is a point which you can overcomplicate, over-automate.
Especially if you're new into it. It's crawl, walk, run with folks, and then always have people in the loop to be checking that work, operating in an area nearby the automation, and always a spot for skilled labor. I think there's certain industry segments that automation's still several years out, and then others several years in the past, and folks maybe are still playing a little bit of catch up to rise to their competition.
Yeah. Well, it's great having you on. How can people connect with you if they want to connect?
Yeah, for sure. So for me personally, can reach out on LinkedIn if anything. I said one to follow up and have conversations there, or Vectis Automation, just vectisautomation.com.
Easy.
easy one there. And we've got a page for reaching out, and we'll have one of our team connect, and happy to take a look. We have a large application engineering team. A big thing that we focus on is making sure we're understanding how a customer is wanting to use automation, or if they don't have any clue, hey, send a couple cell phone pictures of the types of parts that you do, and is it a good fit or not? We want to see people succeed, and if it's not a fit, it's not a fit. We're not afraid to say that. Our application engineering team has to eat their own cooking on, if they recommend a system, well, they're also the ones that take the support calls for their given geography. Right. So application vetting is a big part of what we do, and happy to help lay out roadmaps for folks that no clue where to start. And sometimes the recommendation is going to be traditional automation is the right fit for them. Cobots maybe aren't, or maybe this year's CapEx needs to go towards refining some of those upstream processes, and then maybe next year we can resume conversations on welding.
Right. Awesome. Good advice. Yeah. Great talking to you.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for being on.
Yes.